All right, so here's the Talaria StingR. So if I had it for, I guess it's been over a month now. Haven't ridden it much, especially the last couple of weeks. It's just been busy. So what have I done to it so far? I've changed the wheel size, 21/18. All right, I'm using the Shinko 241s, I believe they're called. Both of them, 3-inch in the back, I think it was. Is it 3-inch? Let's see. Yeah, I think it's 3-inch. 3 and 2.75, I believe, in the front. Let's see, what's the size? Yeah, 275. That's right, 2.75. So yeah, so 3 in the back. Originally, I tried 3.5 and 3, but that was way too. It's too big for this bike. It's too wide, too heavy. You know, because these are motorcycle tires, so they're heavier than the stock tires for sure. So it's just too much for this bike. This bike's too small. Not enough power for that. Let's see, what else did I do? So I got that. That was the biggest thing. I got the Luna pegs. I got the Warp 9 stem, and I actually have a Fast Flex handlebar. This is from my mountain bike, but you know, I took it off of that and put it on here. I took off my riser bar because it was, you know, the riser bar was for a mountain bike, and the angle, the sweep right here, the sweep on a mountain bike, it only comes back 8 degrees. That's not enough. It's just too hard on my wrist. So this one is has a 12-degree sweep, so it's perfect for the width and, you know, for the size of it. Fast Flex does make bars for motorcycles. You know, they're motor bars, but this is a mountain bike bar. You know, this is pretty much the fork and everything is a mountain bike fork, right? DH fork, so no big deal. So anyways, ridden it around a little bit, see the feel of it, how it feels. I still haven't had a chance to go off-road yet, so I need to do that soon anyways. So as far as on-road wise, you know, it feels all right. For on-road, these bigger wheels, especially the big front wheel, because it rakes out, you know, it lifts up the front end, so it's a slacker. It's more raked out, so it doesn't steer as quickly as it was with the stock wheel size, where it's smaller, so it's a little steeper, a little quicker. So for on-road, you know, that's a disadvantage. Off-road, it would be an advantage, especially with the bigger bumps and stuff. You know, bigger wheels and more slack is a little bit better. As far as how this thing rides, at least on the road, it doesn't quite feel like a motorcycle. Even if I compare it to like a mini bike, it doesn't quite feel like that either. It's like, it feels not as substantial. I'm not sure if it's because it's, you know, it's only 150 pounds, but you know, I used to have a CRF 125 big wheel. That one was I think it was 1916, I think it was the wheel size, the big wheels. And that bike was probably about the same weight as this bike, you know, about 150 or so pounds. But that bike feels more like a motorcycle than this bike does. I'm not sure something about this. I'm not sure what it is. Maybe because it's, you know, because it's mountain bike handlebars and stuff like that. So it doesn't feel as substantial. But even then, the CRF 125 big wheel, you know, it's a kid's bike, right? So everything is smaller. Everything's not quite as big either. And but it's, you know, I remember, you know, it's been a while. It's probably been at least 5 years since I had it. I remember the fork. It wasn't a upside down fork. It was a regular standard fork. And I don't remember the fork being all that big either. You know, the stanchions and all that stuff was not that big. But then again, the whole thing was steel, so steel is stronger than aluminum. So maybe that's the difference. But also the brakes on that one, I can't remember if that one had drum brakes or disc brakes in the front. For sure, the back brake was drum brake, so it wasn't all that great. But the front, I don't recall now. I just can't remember. I think the newer ones might be disc, but I'm not sure. But anyways, that bike, just everything about it just feels more substantial than this bike does. Even though it's like, you know, more or less the same size, the same weight. Just something about it. So right now, as far as the mini bike goes, the mini bike that I have is my Monkey. And the Honda Monkey, you know, it's a street bike for the most part, but it has a scrambler style, or at least in the stock form, it has a scrambler style. My bike is not stock anymore. You know, the stock exhaust is a high mount exhaust, where I put in a low mount exhaust. So my bike is, I basically made it more street style than the original Monkey. The original Monkey, the style was a scrambler style, right? It's like a mini scrambler basically, with the dual sport tires. You know, I have some road tires in the back because the back tire wore out already. But anyways, if I compare this bike to the Talaria, this bike is, I think, about 240 pounds, so about 90 pounds more. Talaria is about 150, right? So 240. It's about 90 pounds more. But this bike feels so much more substantial, so much more. It just feels more stable, more solid. You know, the wheelbase is actually shorter on this. Wheelbase is shorter than this is. This has a long wheelbase. Also, it's more slack, so it should be more stable, especially in the straight line. And this one is less slack, but this feels so much more stable and substantial. Again, it could be the weight, or it also could be because, you know, everything on here is actual like motorcycle parts. You know, especially like, for example, the brakes and wheels. Even though these are tiny little wheels, 12-inch wheels, you know, because they're fat. You know, they're like almost like balloon wheels almost. For at least for dual sport, anyways. But the brakes on this thing, look how much more massive that is. You know, that's a real moto brake, right? Versus a mountain bike brake, right? But anyways, so the Monkey feels, it just feels, you know, like a real, even though it's a mini bike, it feels like a real bike. It's just small and light, but it feels like a real bike though. So something else about it, you know. Again, I think it's because it's like a lot of mountain bike parts and stuff on the Talaria, whereas the Monkey is actual real motorcycle parts. As far as how it rides and stuff, you know, I have the Öhlins front and rear, so you can't compare that. This you know, this is it rides way better. Suspension-wise, it's way better, way more comfortable. As far as power goes, I've always said that this Talaria StingR, power-wise, is comparable to a 125. As far as comparing it to the Monkey, on the low end, you know, you can't beat the torque from the electric. Torque is electric, just, you know, it's like double the torque of this bike is. And the mid-range is about equal between the two. But on the top end, this for sure has more power than the Talaria does. So this one, you know, this bike, this is a 60-mile-an-hour bike. So then the Talaria is a 50-mile-an-hour bike. So for sure, when I'm at the top end, this thing feels, it feels stronger. Not just actual speed faster, but it just feels like it has more power. Whereas the Talaria, you know, at the top end, it feels kind of like it's pooping out. But you know, but remember, the Talaria is, you know, it's meant as a dirt bike basically, right? A mini dirt bike. So you do not really at the top end. You care more about the bottom and the mid range. Yeah. So, anyways, I've never ridden the Monkey on a dirt either, on a dirt road, I should say. Well, let me see. Did I have it taken on a dirt road? Actually, I might have taken it on a dirt road, yeah, I think I have taken this on a dirt road once before. And if it was, you know, the small wheels and small travel. Actually, when I did it, I think I still had the stock suspension. You know, it wasn't all that great. Bouncy like a pogo stick, but also the small wheels. Small wheels and off-road or dirt roads don't do very well because, you know, all the bumps. Small wheels don't go over bumps as well as bigger wheels. And the travel on this is real small. You know, the travel on this bike is, I think, about 3.5 inches or so. Somewhere around there, 3.5 inches. So that's tiny. This bike over here is 8 inches, right? Front and rear. So that's like almost triple, right? Well, actually, over double, like 2.5 times more suspension travel and bigger wheels than this is. So, but on the road with my Öhlins, man, it's no comparison. This thing is butter. You know, especially that seat. That's like sitting on a cloud right there, sitting on a marshmallow right there. Yeah, ride feel much more substantial. Feels like a real motorcycle, just mini. Well, this thing doesn't feel like a motorcycle. It just doesn't. power wise, you know, top end, this is more power. Top end, that's it starts to you know, lose the top end, but the bottom end's, you know, it's great. This bottom end sucks. The mid range is about the same, I think. It feels about the same on the mid range, but this, I think this still has, you know, more torque, but whereas this one has a little bit more power, I think. Even though this engine, I think it only has like, is it 8 horsepower? I think 8 or 9 horsepower. It's really not that much, but that's like peak power, and you can actually rev to it. Whereas the Talaria, even though they say 8,000 watts, I think is, if you do the math, 8,000 watts is like 9 or 10 horsepower, but that's maximum. And when you talk about electric, the electric power, it's how it is different from a gas engine. Because the gas engine, you can actually get to the peak power and you actually stay there, right? You rev to that peak power and you can actually stay there. Whereas with electric, it doesn't work that way. It was different. It will peak and also it would get away from that. You know, it goes up to the peak and it just goes back. It doesn't matter what rev you're at or whatever, what speed or what rev. It just, when it gets there, it gets there. As soon as it gets there, it kind of tapers off. So the one that's more accurate is the continuous power, and the continuous power on this, I think, is half of 8,000, so it's 4,000. So 4,000 is about, I think that's about 5 horsepower or so, somewhere around there, 5 horsepower. So, and that feels more, a little bit more accurate that way, but obviously with a lot more torque than a gas engine. So yeah, so anyways, so that's my thoughts on comparing the Talaria StingR with the monkey bike, you know, for street use anyways. Yeah, thanks for watching.